I almost married the wrong man. Story time. 11 years ago, I was set to marry a man that I'd only known for 6 months. As some of you might know, I am an actress, and that's how I met him. We were both cast in the same film as boyfriend and girlfriend. And because of this, the director wanted us to spend time together and create chemistry. The director even asked us to rehearse some of our kissing scenes, which really we only rehearsed one time. Was it awkward? Absolutely. But spending so much time together during rehearsals really did it. It's kind of hard to not develop feelings for somebody that you're working with who just happens to be attractive and you're supposed to be developing this chemistry. A few weeks later, we were dating. A few months later, we decided to move to LA together to pursue our acting dreams. But soon after we moved to LA, the cracks started showing. I am the poster child for a go-getter. I'm a hustler. I will do everything in my power to chase my dreams. His motivation was not the same. While I had 4 jobs, he had 1 job. I was paying for the bills, providing for him, even paying off his student loans. I also cooked for him, and I also helped him by trying to find him acting jobs. I was the best possible fiance he could have ever asked for. Around that time, I decided to quit some of my jobs. I transitioned over to working at a dancing club as a cocktail waitress. And this is around the time that I asked him if he could get a higher paying job. At the time, he was working at a movie theater. He was making $8 an hour, and to him, this was enough. It was enough because I was paying for the rest. And when I wanted to quit my jobs, he was against it. Why do you think? I felt like his bank account, like a debit card he could swipe every time he needed money. He would take and I would give. So when I asked him to consider getting a better job, he told me that he didn't want to because his best friend worked at the movie theater he worked at. He was comfortable. He loved his job. It was an easy job for a man. I got to watch all the free movies I wanted. What more could I ask for? A partner that would help me? No, that was too much to ask for. But can you believe that it actually does get worse? When I asked him to get a higher paying job so he could help me out with the bills, he flat out said no. His job at the theater was too cozy. And a few weeks later, I experienced something horrible at the dance club that I was working at, which made me reflect on every choice I had made up until that point. I left my family to move away with somebody I didn't know, to a new city, thousands of miles away. I left my mom with major depression. To this day, I still hold so much guilt for that. When I told my fiance about the essay that I experienced at the club, his response was for me to get over it. When I told him I wanted to quit, he said no. How dare I try to quit the job that was providing for him? I broke up with him 2 days later, only to fall into an even more toxic relationship. But that's for another time. Self-care sister out.
This is the story of my 6-year-long stalker that literally stalked me for 6 years of my life. I guess he probably would have stalked me way longer, but he's, so, you know, R.I.P. I guess. I really don't know. You traumatized me, so burn in hell. When I was 17, I got a message on Instagram, and it was from this guy who literally looked just like Tupac, like looked like an impersonator. And let's just call said Tupac impersonator Carl. Carl messaged me and was like, "You are so beautiful, let me take you out to dinner." Of course, my 17-year-old self was like, period, Tupac. Yes, you can take me out to dinner. The only thing a guy my age had ever asked me to do was finger me in his mom's basement. So it was like, I'm being swept off my feet. Wait, was that a mistake? That was quite the mistake. I asked him how old he is, and he's like, "I'm 19, and I'm like, perfect. I'm 17. He's probably so mature. Like, he's probably so mature. So a couple days later, he picks me up in a brand new Altima, and I'm just like, what 19-year-old has a brand spanking new Altima? I don't know one. At this point, I was like, is Tupac alive? Is Tupac alive? When I tell you I was expecting to go to like a McDonald's, no. We went to a steakhouse. At this point, I'm kind of like confused because he looks his age. He looks 19, but he's spending money like he's in his mid-20s. So during the date, he tells me that he only pays for dates if he ends up liking the girl a lot. So I take this as a challenge because I have $12 to my name at this point, and I'm like, he needs to like me because this place is expensive. Baby, I'm pulling out the bells and the whistles. Tell me about your trauma. Tell me about your ex-girlfriends. Tell me about your life. How's your mom? Everything I can think of. Hey babe, well, he liked me too much, all right? So he paid for the date, and then he proceeded to take me to Sonic, and we got the grossest milkshake I've ever tried in my entire life. While waiting for that disgusting milkshake in the drive-thru, he starts telling me about the last date he went on with the last girl he went on a date with, and let's call her Maria. Start to realize that I go to school with Maria. I know who Maria is. Not only do I know who Maria is, but she's like in my inner group of friends. So like I hang out with her pretty frequently. After this like 3-hour-long date, he finally takes me home, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to ask Maria about Carl when I go to school tomorrow. Like, I need to know why he didn't pay for their date. What happened? She's so cool. Like, what happened? Next day at school, I go up to her at lunch, and I'm like, yo, you went on a date with Carl? And she's like, Carl? And I was like, yeah, Tupac Carl. Like, what about it? She's like, please tell me you didn't go on a date with him. And I'm like, yeah, I did. He took me to the steakhouse. She's like, well, on the day I found out that he was actually 24. At this point, I'm doing the math in my head. Like, how old would Tupac be right now? And obviously it's not 24, so we were good. Like, yeah, and I also found out that he has a girlfriend. After we were done with the date, the girlfriend reached out to me, and I was like, oh, awesome. So not only is he a creep, but he also has a girlfriend. Really not shit. Like, they are not. Honestly, I text him, and I'm like, you're literally a liar and a creep. Why would you lie about your age? And also also you have a girlfriend. And then I just blocked him. You probably would think that would be the end of that, but it absolutely was not. After I block his number, he makes like 6 fake numbers being like, please let me explain, please let me explain. Like, I swear to God, I didn't lie to you, blah, blah, blah. I'm blocking like number after number after number. So he resorts to Instagram, obviously. This like obsession with Bart Simpson, which is a key player in this story. So remember that. Which like, what the fuck? Why are you obsessed with Bart Simpson? That is literally so random and weird. When I get home from school that day, I get home and there's flowers on my aunt's porch for me. And I'm like, oh my God, this man knows where I live. So I unblock his number and I'm like, do not ever come to my house again. Don't ever leave me flowers. Like, we are not friends. You're a creep. Immediately reblock his number because I'm just not interested in even hearing what he has to say. Like, you're fucking weird. Doesn't he show up at my aunt's house later that night and come knocking on the door? And just my luck, no one but me is home. I go up to the door and I'm popping the fuck off. I'm like, why the fuck are you here? What is wrong with you? You're so creepy. Like, this is so weird. And he's like, please, 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 like, let me just explain. Let me just explain. And he goes on to tell me that he has a developmental issue that makes him look so young. And he was just embarrassed to tell me his real age because he looks so young. And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, none. Like, zero. It's like, the girlfriend that I had isn't my girlfriend anymore. She just tells people that she's my girlfriend because she's crazy. And I'm not with her. I haven't been with her in years. And I'm just like, I think I've heard this all before. I'm just like, okay, that's cool and good, but I still don't want to talk to you. Like, my aunt and my mother would not be very cool with me dating someone almost 10 years older than me. I'm not cool with it. Like, I just don't, you lied about it. That's so weird. So he finally leaves after having his literal temper tantrum, and he stays blocked on everything. Like, I am not unblocking this man for the life of me. So things are quiet for about a week after that, and then I start getting messages and likes on my Instagram from this weird account that has 2 followers, and the picture is of Bart Simpson. I know who this is. I immediately know who it is and block him. And then he makes another one. And he does it again. This cycle literally continues for years. Like, I would block a Bart Simpson account and then another one would follow me. I would block it and another one would follow me and another one would message me. It's like, it was insane. Every year without fail, I would get the happy birthday message from a Bart Simpson account and then a happy Christmas message. It was just ridiculous. My 21st birthday was during COVID, so I couldn't go out and like drink on my 21st because it was like everything was shut down. So whenever COVID like reopened and everything was reopened, me and my friend decided to go to the bar. At this point, things had slowed down. I honestly had thought he was done. Like, I was like, he's not stalking me anymore. Well, to my dismay, I was wrong. Posting on our stories and having fun, and then don't you know, ends up showing up to the bar I'm at and just standing there and staring at me. We leave because I was terrified, and I go to my Instagram immediately because I know he probably messaged me. And he did, and he was like, I saw you and you looked beautiful. I literally flipped the fuck out. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. I said some choice words, a lot of stuff, and I think he finally got it. Finally, said ex-girlfriend reaches out to me. And she's like, he does this to everyone. I've heard this so many times. I'm like, great. Then a few months later, he died of a heart attack.
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my bridesmaid wear her dead mother's favorite color to my wedding? I, 31 female, was married to my amazing husband, 34 male, on Friday. The wedding went smoothly, apart from one guest's dress preference, who we'll call Anna. Anna's mother sadly passed away in January this year. Her mother was the light of her life, and ever since she passed, Anna has been understandably uptight and distant. I have helped Anna throughout her entire grieving time. We had been planning this wedding since December and decided we wanted an ocean-themed wedding. My family and I grew up on the seaside and have always been close to the ocean. I made it extremely clear to all of my bridesmaids that they were to wear blue, a coral pinky color, or pastel green. Everyone agreed and seemed to love my choices. Anna's mother always loved the color dark, vibrant purple. Ever since then, Anna would buy everything purple if there was a purple choice. Anna and me went for lunch a few weeks after the passing to catch up and support her. At the lunch, Anna asked me if she could please wear a purple dress to my wedding. I'm not crazy about themes usually, but since this wedding was themed to support my family's tradition, and considering my maid of honor was already going to be wearing a gorgeous pastel blue dress with purple and gold accents, me and my husband, who I decided to call and discuss the idea with him politely, told her that we understand what she's going through, but we really want bridesmaids on theme. To this, she looked hurt and left lunch earlier than expected. I hardly heard from Anna until around 4 weeks after our lunch, despite my attempts at texting, phoning, and even knocking on her door, but she'd continued to shut me off. That was until she texted me, quote, "What do you think of these dresses?" and displayed many different purple dresses in photos. I kindly reminded Anna that she wouldn't be wearing a purple dress to my wedding. Anna was enraged. I tried to tell her that I understand her feelings, but my wedding is my own special day. To this, she blocked me. Anna unblocked me 2 days later, apologizing for the way she acted. Well, when the wedding rolled around, Anna showed up in a purple dress. I asked her why she had gone against my wishes and that she either had to change or leave. To this, she told me to stop creating a scene and that I was being dramatic and disrespectful. Anna broke out in a screaming match and called me and my family insensitive, selfish assholes. She was escorted out the door screaming. Once the wedding had ended, I received messages from Anna's family, friends, and even Anna. They were all saying how Anna was going through a lot and that I was being an asshole. So, am I the asshole for not just letting Anna wear the damned purple dress?
I got back at my cheating boyfriend by flirting with my dad. Story time. So me and Steve were dating for a few months before I started to suspect that he was cheating on me. He would very often hide his phone and be unavailable at the most random times. And then when I'd ask him where he'd been, he'd have no explanation. So one night when he was staying over at mine, I looked over and I could see Steve talking to a girl on Facebook Messenger. Which, come on Steve, we've moved on from Facebook Messenger now, babe. So I knew that Steve was in a Facebook group for bikers. And I thought that is the perfect place to get revenge. So I created a fake profile. I used a profile picture that I generated using AI. Next thing you know, I'm accepted into the group. I was going mad, sending friend requests to everyone in this group to make it look more real. And then to make it look like I actually gave a shit about motorbikes, I just posted some random pictures that I found on Google. And what do you know? Less than a week later, I get messages from Steve. He started the conversation by saying he'd literally never seen a more beautiful biker in his life and that he wanted to meet up with me. And I just thought I'd see how far he goes, so I told him that I had a boyfriend and he instantly replied that he had a girlfriend but nobody needed to know. And after that, it all got very explicit very quickly. I just went with the flow of it all because I was gathering evidence. And then whilst all this was going on, another guy called Nick messaged me. New character unlocked. He was also in this biker group, but his profile didn't have a picture of him on it. And his page was also set to private as well. He started off by asking how I'd been and I replied just saying, well, I found my boyfriend was cheating on me, so I'm pretty shit actually. And he responded so nice, he really built me up and encouraged me to leave him. So the next day, I confronted Steve with all of the evidence that I'd compiled from him cheating with me. And of course, he tried to put the blame on me. We ended up in a massive argument and now he is blocked on everything. I ended up speaking to this biker stranger about it. This man was so attentive. He texted me every single morning, telling me to have a good day. And as the conversations went on, we started to get more and more flirty. We were adding spice, if you know what I mean. One day he asked me if he'd like to meet up with me. So we arranged to meet in a little cafe at the weekend. And I was prepared to live my Bella Swan fantasy, you know, like riding on the back of a motorbike, feeling all dangerous. Okay, so let's fast forward to the weekend. I had already texted Nick and told him which table I was at in the cafe. So I'm sitting there feeling all cute or whatever, and I see a very familiar motorbike pull up in the car park outside. Nick then proceeded to walk in the door, and with his head down, he walked directly to the table I was sat at. So when he got to my table, he took his helmet off, and standing in front of me was my dad. And all he said to me before walking away was, "Please don't tell your mum."
We all know that I have a problem oversharing. Obviously, I come on here and I talk about like the most insane things. I did not realize how much a problem it was until yesterday. Yesterday, I go to Apple because I need new fucking AirPods, and I get in there and the man that's helping me like was just like such a vibe. I literally have to go pick up a book from him in a little bit. Okay, like that's weird. Like, and I'll get into that later. This man and I at the Apple store were talking for like 2+ hours, not about fucking headphones. For some reason, we got on the topic of like mask fishing when like people wear masks. You know, like, you could think someone's really attractive and really cute, and then they take off their mask and you're like, oh, they're ugly as fuck. It's called mask fishing. And I started telling him this story. I was like, yeah, one of my best friends got mask fished like really bad by her doctor. He's like, what do you mean by that? I was like, she thought he was like honestly gorgeous because she could only see his eyes. So she let him like grab her ass a little. And the Apple store man was like, wait, what? Like, yeah, she like thought he was really sexy. So like during the appointment was like clearly over, and he was like, wait, can I check something one more time? And she was like, yeah. And he's like, mind if I touch you here? And it was like fully your ass. I was like, she was texting me through the entire appointment that like she thought he was so hot. She was like, I literally think my doctor's my soulmate. Like, he's so fucking sexy. This is exactly how I'm talking to the Apple store man. She's like, I was like, yeah, she like let him feel her up a little because like he's hot. And she was like, could be your soulmate, like kind of vibe, you know what I mean? This Apple store employee is like, yeah, It was like when she got to my apartment, we Googled him, like we looked him up on LinkedIn, and the man is fucking not cute at all. Like, he's an old ass motherfucker, and she just thought he was gonna be gorgeous because of his eyes. She literally was like planning a future, like what are they gonna do together, all these things. And then we looked him up and she was like, what the fuck? Like I let this man grab my ass and he's not even that cute. And the man at Apple just looks at me like this. He's like, I don't even know what to say to that story. I'm like, I know, it's so fucking crazy. He was like, why did he want to like feel her? I'm like, she's gorgeous. So like he wanted to just like feel her up a little, I guess. And like, I guess they caught a vibe. And then we like Googled him after, and like clearly the vibe went away after we saw what he looked like. It like wasn't like it. The man at Apple was like, oh my God, yeah, like that's like a real thing. That's crazy. But then I was like, when I left Apple, I was like, why the fuck did I just tell an Apple store man that story? Like one, I literally just told him that like my best friend got felt up by her doctor. Why did I just fucking tell somebody that? It's like the second I feel comfortable with somebody, it just like, it's word vomit. I just say whatever the fuck. Oh, cause this man at Apple knows like so much about me. He knows that I hate fucking taxes and like I don't like my accountant. Not that I hate taxes, I just don't understand them. And like that I hate my accountant and that like I have to fire him, all these things. Why does a random motherfucker I met at Apple who was trying to sell me AirPods know that I do not like my accountant? That my best friend got felt up by her fucking doctor. And I honestly, like we literally talked for 2 hours. I told him a lot. Like I told him a lot. I am so surprised I did not call my exes like dumb as fuck to this man, because I was telling this man my entire life story. He knows my team's in California. He knows I'm from Chicago. Like, why am I sharing so much? I taught him all about an LLC and like the things that me and this man were talking about were just like bizarre. Like, why are you telling the Apple store employee all these things? Like, he was really fucking nice, and he said he has a book that he wants to give me, so I'm gonna go and get the book from him. He said it like changed his life, and he was like, honestly, I think it'll change yours too. Literally know this man 2 hours, and he's like, I'm gonna give this bitch a book. Honestly, I think it might be worth it because now I do have friends and family benefit at Apple. Like maybe me not being able to shut the fuck up was like a good thing.
I kissed my brother's best friend and it went so wrong. Let's talk about it. Growing up, my brother always had this friend, let's call him Joe. Joe was my biggest crush. I had a crush on him from as far as I could remember, like all the way back. I even made him marry me one time. Fake marry me, of course. Do you know how much it sucks to have unrequited feelings for somebody? Like when you just feel like you are so in love with somebody and you know that they don't feel the same way. Seeing him have girlfriends and me being too young for him to even recognize me and acknowledge me was like just a shot to the heart. But around Christmas time, my senior year, I turned 18 and I finally kiss him. And for the record, he kisses me back. Says that can't happen again. We can't do this. It'll never work. We don't talk about it again. I graduate high school. He comes back from his job, and I guess he quit his job, and I'm really curious why, because his job was like his life's goal. He has been working for this his entire life, and I'm kind of worried about him. So I go to his house, knock on the door, he answers it, he's asking me like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And I'm like, I just came to check on you. I heard what happened with your job. You seem not yourself. What the hell's going on? And he is just being very dismissive of me, like really trying to get me out of there. So before I leave, I'm like, does this have anything to do the way you're treating me with the kiss that we shared? And he actually laughs. He's like, the kiss we shared, you kissed me. I didn't kiss you. Already, I can tell that this conversation is not going to end well. He goes, I was hoping you didn't bring it up because I was trying to save you from the embarrassment. He's like, just like I said, you kissed me. I didn't kiss you. You think I've never noticed your little schoolgirl crush on me? Everybody noticed. And then he proceeded to like kick me out of his house. Which, first of all, rude. You are embarrassing me right now, and you're hurting my feelings. But my feelings are hurt, and I'm like, whatever, fuck him. I just won't have anything to do with him anymore. I will banish him from my existence and from my life, but that's kind of hard because he is my brother's best friend. I'm telling my best friend all about this, and she's like, fuck him, like, let's go to a party, let's have some fun, let's dance with some cute boys and forget about him, as all good best friends do. So I go to this pool party with my bestie, the drinks are flowing, I'm having a good time, I'm dancing with this cute boy, I'm talking with this cute boy, I'm kissing this cute boy. I have a broken heart, leave me alone. As I'm kissing cute boy, my hand gets tucked to the side and I get pulled away. And words are exchanged between, guess who? Joe and the guy I was kissing. What the F are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And then he pulls me away to talk to me. He's like, I've been trying to call you and text you. I'm like, what do you need from me? Like, I'm doing what teenage girls do. I'm having a good time. I'm kissing somebody that actually wants to kiss me back. Then he has the audacity to go, well, do you like that he's kissing you? Excuse me? Then he proceeds to tell me he doesn't want me kissing anybody else. What do I do about that?
My 33 male, girlfriend 28 female won't let me order fun drinks at coffee shops because they're gay. I've been together with my partner for about 1 year now. Long story short is that my girlfriend won't let me order fun drinks when we go to coffee shops on weekends because she says they make me look gay. When I pressed her on it last time around, she sort of backtracked a bit and says she was also worried about the added sugar of drinks like frappuccinos, mochas, pumpkin spice lattes, etc. The thing is, I only drink regular black coffee during the week, keep a pretty clean diet. I view a mocha frappuccino on the weekend as my reward or cheat meal, and it's just nice to switch it up from the go-to. I'm 6 foot tall and weigh 175 pounds, so weight isn't really much of an issue, and I work out a few times per week. My partner has called me gay multiple times when ordering these drinks. And one time when we were out with her other girlfriends, they all agreed that men should stick to plain black coffee. They even said that an iced Americano, my typical drink, is somewhat feminine because you drink it through a straw. I was disappointed by these women as they were all well-educated, liberal, and claimed to be progressive. I find this double standard a bit troubling to say the least, but they claim that they can't be sexist or homophobic because they are women. I love my girlfriend and wish she could stop saying these things, but I find it hurtful and I'm at odds on how to talk to her or make her come around. Do I keep trying to convince her or move on?
Am I the asshole for telling a vegan that cheese and mayo contain animal products? This is a weird one. At least I think so. I was spending a few days on a trip in a cabin with a couple of friends. One of them I am acquainted with, but don't know too well. I just know that he doesn't eat meat and claims to be vegan. I don't care if he's vegan. People can eat how they want. I think his veganism comes from him never trying foods. He eats nothing but junk food and doesn't like meat or eggs or drinking milk because it comes from an animal and the texture is gross to him. Again, not my problem, his life. He eats Doritos and chips constantly. Lots of ramen noodles and mac and cheese. I don't think I've seen him eat a vegetable ever. I've never really seen his eating habits before this trip. First night we were deciding what to eat. A friend suggested pizza and he agreed. I said, keeping him in mind, I said we should make sure they have options with vegan cheese and meatless sauce. He was like, what? Cheese is okay to eat. It's not meat. I told him cheese is made from milk and he looked sick. He went on his phone and searched it up and was very upset. I thought this was common knowledge. He said that he loves pizza and pretty much lives off pizza and that he eats tons of mac and cheese. I guess we were just assuming he had the vegan thing handled and ate vegan mac or that cheap Kraft's cheese that isn't even real cheese, so it didn't matter. The next day we were ordering food and we were telling our order to one person and they'd go out and pick it up. He was asking for a sandwich with just vegan cheese, onions, and mayo and a side of fries. I said to make sure they have vegan mayo there. Big mistake. He was upset and asked why can't he eat mayo? I said mayo is made with eggs and he got really pissed at me and said I am ruining all the good foods for him. At this point, I just stopped keeping him in mind. He made some other questionable orders of things with animal products and I just didn't bring it up. He says I ruined food for him because he puts cheese and mayo on most things he eats. Called me an asshole. Am I the asshole?
My ex wanted me to be a crazy ex-girlfriend and he ended up ruining his life over it. Story time. So my boyfriend Steve has always been the biggest drama queen. Every single disagreement ended up turning into a massive argument. And after 6 months, I got so tired of it all, so I decided to leave him. And the breakup went surprisingly well. It was smooth, quick, painless. The breakup kind of came about because we were having an argument because I did not want to move in with a guy that I had only known for 4 months. And my knowing this matter caused tears and screams. You should have seen this boy. It's quite tragic, actually. I should have just ended it all there and then, to be honest. So after that breakup, I actually didn't hear from him for a few days. And then I started to get all of these strange Facebook messages. They said that I should stop bothering him, and if they found out that I was at his house again, that they would report me to the police. You know, shocker, I actually had never done any of the sort. I was sent screenshots of texts that I had supposedly sent but never did. Some of his friends even called my boss and told them that I was using the store cameras to monitor what he was doing. I basically worked as an assistant for a photographer and they were claiming that I was stealing cameras and taking pictures of my ex. But my boss knew what my boyfriend was like, so he just shunned it all off. So one weekend, I was in the mall and I saw my ex and he started running towards me, arms out wide, wanting a hug. I was obviously having none of that, so I just walked straight past him, leaving him with his arms outstretched. And next thing I know, I am being pulled back by my hair. Next thing I know, a woman is screaming in my face, telling me to stop stalking her boyfriend. So I just laughed in her face, which looking back was a really, really bad idea. Because she just went straight in and yeah. She slapped me. She was screaming, stop stalking my boyfriend, and before I knew it, the attack was done and over. It was so quick, it happened all in a blur. Anyway, then security came over and this woman starts telling them how I'm a stalker and I've been threatening her boyfriend. And then I ended up getting kicked out of the mall and arrested. Like for part 2.
My wife showed her friends our sex tapes.
My wife and I have been together for 7 years, married for 2. We have a healthy and active sex life. One thing we like to do is just record ourselves. Nothing fancy, just our phones in the moment. We have a shared cloud server that we send it to. That way we can watch it on our phones and other devices without it being saved on our phones. We sometimes like watching them together, or we both travel somewhat frequently for work and watch it then. My wife has a very active group of friends that she spends a lot of time just all hanging out, chatting, and drinking wine. A typical girls' night in. They usually meet at our house, so I usually go downstairs to play games or sometimes go out with my friends. They tend to get loud when they get drunk, and whenever I don't have something playing in my headphones, I can hear them. A common topic is their sex lives. It made me feel weird at first hearing my wife and her friends talk about our sex life, but I remember that I used to talk about my sex life with my friends when I was younger. However, the other night, I heard whooping and cheering, so I crept up the stairs to see the commotion. My wife was playing some of the sex tapes on the TV for all to see. I went back downstairs and stayed down there until they were ready for me to drive them home. Usually there's some satirical cheers and such from her friends when I walk up the stairs and grab the keys. This time, a couple of them did wolf whistle, which they've never done before, and one said, "Way to go, stud." My wife shushed them and decided to come along when I dropped them off. There was a lot of drunk giggling in the car. After I got home, I wanted to talk to my wife about what I saw, but I thought she was too drunk to have a serious conversation with. We went to bed and she tried to engage, but I told her I was too tired. The next afternoon, when she was sober and less hungover, I asked her why she showed our videos to her friends. She got a deer in headlights look on her face. She then said that they were just having a good time, and she told them about our collection, and they started to beg to see them, so she obliged. I told her those were private videos, and she said that we never said that we couldn't show them to others, and it's not like she sent them to files. I think she could tell that I didn't like that answer, and she'll make it up to me, and she tried to engage. I backed up and said that I was going for a drive. I texted her that I was hanging out with some buddies for the day. When I got home that night, I set up camp on the couch and have been sleeping there the past couple nights. I don't think this is a call for divorce or anything. I'm just upset that she violated my trust, and even though we never had an agreement, I just thought it was implied. I'm also upset since she didn't apologize until I started sleeping on the couch, and that she originally tried to engage instead of apologizing when we first talked. So, what should I do?
What rule did your school implement that backfired terribly? My school let the cheerleaders walk with their butts hanging out but said that my dress was a problem. So, I made them eat their words. Back in 2013 I was a sophomore in high school, and there was a tradition that on Fridays, the cheerleaders, football players, band members, and the other groups performing, wore their uniforms to class. This wasn't a written tradition, and only the cheerleaders and dance teams' uniforms broke dress code, but nobody really batted an eye to it. I wasn't a skirt person, but I liked dresses once in a while. I grew up in Texas, and it's still significantly hot in August and September. So one time, while wearing a casual sundress in September, I was pulled out of class and reprimanded because the end of my dress was 4 inches above the knee, when the dress code said no shorter than 2. I pointed out the cheerleaders and dance teams' uniforms every Friday and how they reached mid-thigh at their longest. I was told that was okay because students can wear official school uniforms and was sent home to change. Clearly, somehow someone had forgotten I was on the golf team. Immediately my mind was turning to the next Friday. The school had recently upgraded the golf team uniforms the year prior, and the girls' team uniforms consisted of a short-sleeved collared polo shirt and a skirt. If you don't know what a skirt is, it's essentially a skirt and short shorts combined. It looks like a skirt, but they essentially act like built-in bike shorts, and these babies were short. I'd argue they were even shorter than the average cheerleader skirt. So that next Friday, to my parents' surprise, I was ready to go that morning in my golf uniform, as compared to taking a bag to keep my golf clothes and to change into after school. I just told them that on Fridays, we can wear our uniforms to class, and they accepted without question and took me to school. Well, by the second period, I was sent to the office yet again. The first thing the assistant principal asked me was why I would deliberately disobey her right after our last conversation. She then threatened me with in-school suspension, and said I'll never get anywhere in life by not listening, and so on. When I finally had a chance to get a word in, I said, "But this is my school golf uniform," and I pointed to our school's logo that was sewn into my polo shirt. "You said students can wear official school uniforms to class. Why are the cheerleader uniforms okay and mine isn't? This isn't even a skirt, it's a skirt, it has pants." I still remember how pissed off she was. She stared me down for what seemed like a millennia. Then she snapped and told me to get out of her office and go sit in the lobby area. She said that I knew what she meant and she would be calling my parents about this blatant disrespect. So I waited, played on my iPod and chatted with the nice secretary, trying to keep myself distracted, because in reality I had been really trying not to cry. I had massive anxiety when it came to authority, but I still had my naive sense of injustice, and I didn't just want to let this go. After about 20 minutes, she popped her head out and in a very monotone voice, told me I could go back to class and to let teachers know I had gotten permission from the front office to wear my uniform. Then she went back in and closed the door before I could even think to respond. I spent the rest of my day dealing with teachers questioning me about my outfit, and two even called the front office to double-check my claim that I had in fact gotten permission. I went to practice after school as normal before being carpooled back home. My dad met me at the front door with a small smirk. I asked him what in the world happened because I knew he was the go-to contact for my school, so I knew she called him. He explained that when she called and tried to get him to come to the school and get me and talked about punishments for my insubordination, he immediately began to argue with her. He admitted he raised his voice quite a bit, asking why I wasn't allowed to wear my sport uniform that the school provided to me as a dress requirement at my golf practice. He then mentioned taking this all the way to the school board and resolving this obvious favoritism. He then asked me not to do that again, but said that he was proud of me. He told me, "I know I had told you never to start a fight, but to always fight back. I always thought physically, but you damn sure took the advice."